this historically, the NBA has always been greedy. The NBA ownership has always said for the longest time, I don't know, did you watch that? You had sent a video of Trista Crick, and it was her heat check video with, I think it was like Dave Beatty. I'll link it in the description of this video. But in it, he's talking about women's sports, but he brings up the NBA because obviously the NBA helps out as part ownership of the WNBA. And he was saying that the NBA historically has always done this thing where they have said, oh, yeah, you know what? Actually, we don't make a profit. We haven't made a profit. We haven't. And it's like, okay, well, but more people are going to the games. There's a big TV deal. And they're like, no, we've never made a profit in order to negotiate with the players. And when the players say, oh, we need more money, they're like, yo, we don't make profit. We don't know what you're talking about without actually opening up the bills. And so it does, like, this is just the built in culture of the NBA ownership where they are not going to budge. They do not want to open up their pocketbooks. They do not want to be transparent and be like, okay, here's what we have. They'd much rather be like, okay, you guys do gymnastics and we'll figure it out because people are going to watch the NBA anyway at this point. And eventually that is going to turn on you. Eventually that is not going to be the case.
Yeah, can we just talk a little bit about the WNBA, that situation, since we're talking about the NBA being greedy and you brought that up? Can we just knock it out a bit? Because there was a lot of discourse online last week about the WNBA losing money every year, losing $50 million and fighting for more percentage of the revenue share. The players want more money, and so they wore the Pay Us What You Owe Us shirts at the All-Star Weekend. A lot of discourse online against the players saying that they don't deserve more money because they lose money every year. There's a couple different things going on with that because we don't know for sure if they are losing money. They've increased their revenue up to like $200 million, but somehow, supposedly, their losses went from $10 million a year to $50 million a year, which I just want to point out, they don't have open books to the public. That number is just what Adam Silver tells us it is. There's no confirmation. There's nothing to say that they're for sure losing $50 million this year.
I'm negotiating with my workers. I definitely want to show that I'm losing money because it allows me to negotiate better. And so the NBA keeps releasing these statements about the WNBA, and it was before $10 million losses. And then we found out that the revenue, and Bloomberg reported this, in 2019 was 100 million, and it went to 200 million in 4 years during a pandemic, which is a phenomenal rate of growth. And then they released a statement, now losses are 50 million. So your revenue doubled and your losses went up 5 times, but you're not paying the players any more money than you were paying them when you started. How did you do that? What are you spending? What are you, just setting the money on fire? What are you doing with this?
David, what do you think that they are spending the money on?
I don't think they're spending the money on anything. I think they're just making up a story. I think it's just a story. I don't believe, no reporter who has reported on this has ever said, I saw the financial statements and I know what they're saying is true. Nobody said that. And so when I was writing at Forbes, I said this. I wrote the article this way: the NBA has asserted that the WNBA is not profitable. And I had an editor at Forbes tell me, I can't write that way. You can't say it that way. It sounds like they're lying. I said, no, I'm actually being factually true. I don't know anything about what they said. I don't see the financial statements. You didn't see them. Nobody else has seen them. I know that they said it. And that's all I'm saying. They said it. They asserted it. And that's all you can say. The New York Times and the New York Post, if they were doing their jobs as reporters, would not say the WNBA isn't profitable. They would say the NBA has asserted this to us. We don't have any evidence that it's true. They haven't shown us any statements that it's true. They don't have any explanation for how it happened. So what are they spending the money on? We don't know. We know they're not spending it on the players. We know they're not spending it on the coaches.
Do you think this is all smoke? This is all the WNBA not being able to control the narrative online?
Yeah, 100%. And that's what I was saying before is the WNBA needs to be better with their marketing as far as controlling this narrative. They should be getting it out there. I'd be posting attendance. I would be posting a blowing out attendance. I'd be like, hey, every time we have a sellout, bam, here you go. Every time we get over a certain amount of views, I'd be like, bam, there we go. I would be even like, oh, we got a TikTok over 4 million. I'd be talking about that. I'd be everything that has to do with viewership, everything that has to do with fan metrics. I'd be posting it out there. I'd be getting it out there and being like, there are people watching us, because there are multiple people watching us. And I will link this again. It was that heat check that you had sent over. It's titled "What If." Yeah, it's a great video. It's with David Barry, and it's titled "What If Everything You Know or You Think You Know About the WNBA is Wrong?" And he basically says like that. This is a classic play from the NBA. This is something that they did in negotiating previously with the NBA itself, and now they're taking it to the WNBA and doing the same tactic where it's like, hey, we're losing money. Okay, what are you going to ask for? No, we don't have the money. We're losing it. It's a classic NBA move.
Yeah, this is a negotiating tactic where players are about to come up in a new CBA. You're always going to have the company say, well, we can't pay them, we're losing money. So I don't believe that they're losing $50 million this year in revenue. I just don't believe it. The Valkyrie are bringing in so much money, they're selling out every night. The Liberty are selling out every night. Caitlin Clark is selling out every night. There are teams definitely turning a profit. There's teams definitely not. I'll say that. But as a whole, and the NBA even screwed them way before this when they didn't let them pursue a TV deal on their own. They are packaged with the NBA and they broke them off a piece of that. Like, they didn't let them pursue their own TV deal. The NBA wants full control of them, which the WNBA is still getting $2.2 billion over the next 10 years. So for any argument saying that they're not profitable, say they are losing $50 million a year. They're gaining $200 million in revenue from TV deals. So next year they're going to be plus 150 mil. So it's just an irrelevant argument.
Well, and then we're not even talking crazy amount of numbers. We're not talking about like, oh, okay, well, we want to go from getting paid like an accountant to getting paid $60 million a year. No, we just don't want to have to be. The WNBA does not need to be a side gig. The WNBA needs to be their full-time role. They should not be going overseas and playing basketball to make a viable living. That's ridiculous. So that's all they're saying is, okay, well, if we are going to be athletes, if we are going to put our life on the line, if we're going to put our bodies at risk, if we are going to dedicate our lives to this sport, the sport then needs to actually fund my life. And that's not a crazy ask. Someone not surprisingly, because he's actually been pretty vocal in his support of the WNBA, has been, Barstool's Dave Portnoy. He was saying it pretty plain and clear. He was like, if the WNBA were like, hey, we are going to put a team in Boston, he said he would pay $250 million for it. And he goes, and guess what? In like 5 years, it's going to take off like a rocket ship. The WNBA, he goes, I don't know what people are thinking when they're talking about there is not views, that there's not fans. There is. And this is going to take off like a rocket ship. If you could get in right now of, okay, why wouldn't I? Like, why would I not just do this? It's going to 10x. And then he was even saying, he goes, if you think about even in the world of startups, like in startups, you still have to pay top talent prices because you are getting top talent. He goes, so why are we not paying these players that are top talent like they are the cream of the crop, like they are top talent? They are bringing their services to you. You need to put that on a pedestal. And it's 100% right.
Like David Barry says in that video, he's like, this isn't something where you supplement. This is an investment that the NBA wanted to make into a women's league to control that part of the sport. They saw that there could be potential there. There was another women's league and they wanted to outdo them. So they did it. This isn't a supplementation. This is an investment by them. And just because your investment isn't turning a profit doesn't mean that you don't have to pay everyone. And I'll say this, they get paid nothing. They get paid dirt contracts. When you're paid like an athlete year round, So the Unrivaled League came around, right? Really paid these women well. Here's how they've done. 91% of unrivaled players have a career high in at least one statistic category this year. 91% of those players have a career high. So when you pay them like a professional athlete and you don't make them play overseas, try to work other jobs, and they can focus on it, the talent is better. The product is better. So why wouldn't you invest in a better product?
Yeah, I mean, it just makes sense, dude. And they're not asking for a crazy amount of money. It's again, they are not asking to be paid like NBA players. They are just asking to be paid a fair wage and to be paid at similar percentages as the NBA.
They're getting screwed. So but when they made this last deal, they're getting 11% of the revenue. This isn't net revenue because people like to say that they're losing money. This is just revenue. So learn the
Yes.
difference. They were making 11%. Now they're making about 9% of the revenue. The NBA makes 51% to the players. What the WNBA players want is a bigger piece of that pie, the revenue itself,
Yes.
so that they can afford to live and afford to be professional athletes. And I don't think that's a crazy ask. If they up them to 30%, I think we can be like,
Huge
okay,
win.
we're huge money for them. It's not trying to give them $1 million. It's saying, can we give them all $300,000 to $400,000 contracts and work up from there?
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. I think we're headed towards the lockout. I think I could see it. We're headed towards the lockout this offseason.
Yeah, they've all set up their contracts to expire at this right time. The players are going to be mostly free agents, and especially at a time where Unrivaled is paying them a lot and it's making good money. I could even see them being like, well, if you're not going to have this league work, we can just go overseas. Like, they're still paying us to be professional basketball players. Yeah, we want to be here home, but we've been doing this already. Like, we've established that we go here.
Liz Cambage 2 years ago made $1 million to go overseas and play for 1 year. That's great. That's more than what they're making in the WNBA. So, and that's someone who doesn't play in the WNBA anymore.
And what's to stop Ice Cube in the Big Three from saying, let's make a women's Big Three? He already tried to get Caitlin Clark to go there instead and has the opportunity to kind of funnel the WNBA players towards them. There's options. There's options for the women.
There's going to be some options coming up. And again, I just think that we are headed towards a lockout this offseason. Breanna Stewart was saying that the last offer that they had from the NBA was disrespectful. And so that, coupled with the message on the t-shirts, shows just kind of where the players stand. And I don't think that they should budge. I think that they have all of the leverage when it comes to this. They have other options if they needed to go play elsewhere. So I think we're headed towards a lockout for sure.
Yeah.
Unless something changes very drastically in this offseason, which I don't foresee that, but I think we're headed straight for a lockout.
I think, yeah, whatever they're going to get is not going to be enough, but I hope it's a step in the right direction. And I hope they set it not too far in the future for them to renegotiate and up it again, because I think we're about to see in the next 4 or 5 years, the WNBA really get that bigger push to a wider audience. And they're growing every year. I think it's going to be huge. So hopefully they come back to the table in another like 5 or 6 years and get more piece of the pie.